My spoiled little brother lost my wedding ring, and my parents sided with him, telling me to just let it go. The day that my brother was born with a cleft lip was the day my parents forgot about my existence. When my parents found out that my brother was born with a minor disability, they treated him as if he was their miracle baby and could do no wrong in their eyes. When I was 14 and my brother 8, he punched me square in the eye because he was upset that I was winning our board game and I cried out of pain. My parents didn't believe me when I told them what happened and I ended up waking up with a black eye the next morning, which in turn frightened my brother and caused him to cry out of fear of how I looked. My parents had me stay in my room for days until the bruise healed because they didn't want my brother to freak out every time he saw me. I also never felt special on my birthday. My brother would always cry whenever I received birthday gifts and he didn't receive anything, so every year on my birthday, we both received gifts and most of the time, he got more gifts and better gifts than me. Every year, I just dreaded the day coming. You see, my parents constantly tried to do everything to ensure that my brother was happy, so when I was young and naive, I would do the same, hoping that if I treated their little prized boy with the same love they gave him, they would, in turn, give me more attention and love, but the opposite ended up happening. They saw how good of a sister I was to him, and that was enough for them to use me as a babysitter to watch him and entertain him while they had more one-on-one quality time together. They would baby trap me with him and make me watch him over the weekend, while they went out on dates, and between that and school I wasn't able to have any time to myself. I was treated as his personal little clown. As my brother grew older, he became more and more spoiled. His freakouts would be triggered by the slightest of inconveniences, and whatever he said was what my parents would believe was the 100% truth. He was also extremely picky when it came to food, which ended up in me eating what he liked, because my parents didn't feel it was necessary to prep two separate foods to appease us both. This led to me eating his favorite food, which was a PB&J sandwich, all the time. There were plenty of times when I would have a PB&J for breakfast, lunch, and dinner just because my brother requested that. Later on in high school, I ended up taking on a job because I wanted to spend more time away from home, and my parents would force me to call out of work a bunch of times to take care of my brother, which led to me getting fired. There was nothing I could do for myself. As time went on, I ended up falling in love with a guy I met on a dating app, and 5 years later, we are happily engaged. My parents still treat me the same, and my brother still needs to be watched regardless of him being a teenager. One day, when I was watching my brother, he did something that I don't think I will ever be able to forgive him for. In fact, I don't think I want to be in contact with him or my parents ever again. I was watching my brother for the evening and he went to the bathroom to take a shower. I took my $20,000 diamond engagement ring off and left it on the nightstand in my room before telling my brother, who was watching TV, that I would be right back and that I was just going to take a quick shower upstairs. He just stared off into the TV with his blank stare. I ran up into the bathroom and got into the shower. When I was done, I headed into my room to change when I noticed my ring was missing from the nightstand, and I ran back downstairs while freaking out to ask my brother if he touched anything in my room. He nodded and mumbled that he had taken my ring but dropped it down the drain. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. I yelled at him asking what drain it was in, and he took me to the downstairs bathroom and pointed to the toilet, and when I looked inside, the bowl was empty. At this point, I was having a full-on panic attack and I stuck my bare hand as far back into the drain as it would go, but there was nothing there. It was empty. I looked up at him with tears flooding down my face and asked him if he flushed the toilet, to which he nodded with that goofy smile on his face. I called my fiancé crying and telling him the whole story and that the ring was gone and that it wasn't my fault. When my parents came home that evening, I told them the whole story as well, and they brushed it off and blamed me for leaving my ring out in a spot where my brother could access it. This was my last straw and I couldn't stand the emotional abuse any longer, so I decided to do something that I knew would hurt my brother. He had a blanket that he was emotionally attached to and has slept with since the day he was born and cannot sleep without it. Well, I ran into his bedroom, grabbed it, ran out and into my car, and drove to my fiancé. I told him everything through tears, and by then, my parents were blowing up my phone, leaving voicemails and angry texts about where my brother's blanket was. They said that they knew that I took it and asked how dare I do such a thing to their special little boy. I didn't want to hear anything from them, so I turned my phone off. My fiancé was able to calm me down, because he said he had a warranty on the ring, so he would be able to get me another one for free, and hearing that made me cry even harder because I just felt so relieved and happy to have someone like him in my life who loves me and cares for me and my feelings. I haven't spoken to my parents or listened to their voicemails yet, and they keep trying to reach me. I don't know if I will ever speak to them again.